Closing consistent deals as a real estate agent from social media has never been easier. Today, I bring on Meg Estes, who breaks down how she's using ChatGPT in order to create posts for Facebook and LinkedIn, and how that's leading to multiple closed deals for free on a consistent basis. Meg breaks down her entire strategy, how she creates the content, how she records the content, and how she keeps it organized to make it easy so that she can stay consistent, which is what most struggle with, and that will all end today. Now, two quick things before we're getting started. Number one, I will link Meg's content below so that you can check it out and see exactly the post that we're referring to. And number two, I will also link her calendar below in case you would like her help for free to get you set up on the path to success with social media. So without further ado, let's bring on Meg and talk about how to use ChatGPT and AI as a real estate agent to close consistent deals for free from social media. All right, Meg, so super excited to have you on here and to kind of unpack the fact that you're really achieving what a lot of agents are looking for, which is a consistent posting routine that's omnipresent across multiple platforms, that isn't exhausting and overwhelming, and you're leveraging things like artificial intelligence VAs in order to pull it together. So really excited to dive into this. But before getting into what's working so well for you, please just give yourself a quick introduction, who you are, where you're from, and why you decided to go all in on social, knowing that you came from a traditional prospecting background.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm Meg Estes. I am out in Arizona. I've been in the business since 2017. So I started with a team, very old school ways, cold calling, open houses, those type of things. Um, when I finally came over to EXP a few years ago, and this last year I have really dove into posting both on YouTube and all the short form platforms. And I've used our training to do that. And it's just really streamlined my business organically. Things feel a little bit more natural. I was never really I'm not afraid to be on camera. It's just the consistency that I
Yeah.
struggled with.
Yeah, 100%. And I would love to kind of, understand that transition of going from traditional to modern, because I feel like that's a major fear of people. A lot of people coming from that traditional side, from what I've experienced, many have this limiting belief that you can't even build your business on social media. You can't get clients. It's something that you should do. It's a nice to have, but you can't really start to actually get clients, and they're kind of riddled with self-doubt. So what was that like for you to kind of adapt to this entirely new world that is foreign to what you're familiar with?
It took me a little while to get used to. For one, I'm not young, so there's a mindset that posting is for younger people because they're just so cute and lively. But I am a people person, and I like to network and I like to chit chat. So that part of it wasn't too hard for me as far as, like I said, like being on camera and being comfortable. I just really struggled with like the editing side of things. It would take me forever because I'm not an editor. And so once I figured out kind of how to get around that, like I said, this last year has really been so beneficial. I have I'm more in front of my sphere from Facebook instead of reaching out constantly through text or email, because even like your own sphere might get tired of your marketing emails. And always trying to figure out something to say to them, right? Like, I just talked to you 3 months ago. What could I possibly have to say now? So now they're seeing me every day on social media, not just talking about real estate, but showing my life, showing my hobbies, and they're resonating with me more. And so I've had more people consistently reach out to me versus me reaching out to them. And it's just making the conversations a lot easier, which, cold calling and open houses, they're great. I still do cold calling, but it's still kind of a struggle when you're trying to convince somebody that you don't know that you're the right person for them to work with. So being on social media has really helped kind of push away from that struggle, and more people organically they like me and they want to work with me because they see how I show up on social media.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And it kind of brings me back to my story in the beginning where I found like in the early days of me door knocking when I had no social media presence, no brand, um, I really found a lot of resistance, and it almost felt like you were having to, like, sell your soul every time
Yeah.
you went out there to, like, how hard you work, and now you have to convince other people you're gonna do that, and it was almost like you were desperate for business. You were, like, begging for clients, and
Yeah.
then once I started to build that brand, I found, like, my prospecting conversion rates went up because people would see you or hear from you, and
Yeah.
then they would go research you and be like, "Is this guy or girl actually legit?" And then they would find you and see there's actually something there. But then you get to the point where people just start coming directly to you. But one of the things I want to dive into, because I think it's a really unique take that will address one of the common misconceptions about social media. So, talking about Facebook, off camera, you and I were talking about the fact that you're posting consistently on Facebook,
Right.
but not everybody is reaching out directly on Facebook to you.
Correct.
And that's where I think, when people are looking at lead generation with social media, they're always looking at the tangible of like how many people reach out. If nobody reaches out, it's clearly not working.
Yeah.
But you're closing consistent deals with people reaching out just in a different medium. So, do you want to talk about your Facebook strategy, how often you're posting, a little bit more clarity on what you're posting and how they're reaching out to you?
Absolutely. So Facebook has really put me back in front of the people who know and love me. For a long time, Facebook was for me just for my personal people. I've recently kind of opened it up more, but it's more people who are in my market or, family, friends, whatever. So they're seeing me consistently. I do a mix of posting between like real estate information and education. I post my family. I post what I'm doing for the day. Sometimes I just post a random coffee shop. I mean, it's kind of a mix, but it's me. It's my way of doing business. Even my educational content is how not just me presenting information, but how I utilize that information in my business, which benefits the client in the transaction. So I think that they're seeing the value there, and they're also really getting to know not just me, Meg, as the personal relationship, but like how I do business. And it's made it to where people are reaching out to me to my phone. Like they're calling and texting me. I've gotten quite a few listings this year from people who said that they would have actually used other agents, but I'm showing up consistently on their feed. And I was posting every day, like 7 days a week. I think it was a little overkill. I actually did a deep dive with ChatGPT and asked it for the optimized posting schedule. And it told me to stick with like 5 days. And it didn't really matter the 5 days, just kind of give a break for people to miss me.
Mhm.
And so that it's really worked. I mean, I've been consistently posting since November, so almost a year. And I've probably brought around from my sphere like 3 or 4 people who we did business this year.
That's awesome. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it's important to kind of look at it as that nurturing opportunity because so many people struggle with a CRM and a drip
Mhm.
campaign and they're not that good at that. And I think it's been beaten into the real estate industry that like that is the only way to nurture your database when in reality the way that you're doing it is so much more genuine, authentic, relatable and real that people could really connect with it. And so you mentioned a couple things there that I'm really excited to dive into, which is the AI side of things and how you're
Yeah.
using ChatGPT. But before we get there, I would like to talk about LinkedIn because nobody talks about LinkedIn. I think everybody kind of alienates it, but you've been able to get clients from LinkedIn. So, what has that been like? Like, what are you doing on LinkedIn? Because people seem to just completely ignore it.
Yeah, LinkedIn is great. I have picked up 2 clients from LinkedIn, and we're essentially just posting the same content that's going on my Instagram and Facebook. Um, I think the interactions there are a little bit better because it's a platform for work essentially, right? Like business. So when you're posting business on a business platform, you have business people who are interested. It's a kind of different, I think, vested interest. And yeah, I picked up $1 million buyer within like just a couple months ago, and it's been a really good relationship. The other thing that I love about LinkedIn is most people who are going to reach out to you have a job. So they're going to
Yeah.
pre-qualify. They're going to qualify to buy a house. So it's a lot less nurturing if they are ready to go. You get them connected with a lender or if they are a cash buyer. But yeah, LinkedIn has been so great. I get a lot of interactions on there, but like I said, I did pick up 2 clients, like people I did not know. Facebook has been people from my sphere. LinkedIn, I've picked up 2 total strangers that I didn't know, but they love my content. And now, yeah, we're house shopping. So it's been really beneficial.
That's super cool. And that comes really down to leverage. I've interviewed some people from our group and, they started posting on YouTube, but figured why not just also post that same video on Facebook? And now
Right.
they're getting all of their business from Facebook, not even their YouTube channel. And it's like, you could start to realize like how much opportunity you're missing out on by just not having a presence on these other platforms. And again, as we start to unpack AI, which we'll get into, artificial intelligence really recognizes and prioritizes agents that are omnipresent, which is having an active presence on every platform. And most don't. They have one, but that same content can be cross promoted. So I love that story. And so let's dive into AI because this seems to be obviously the hottest topic moving forward because it's disrupting everything, but
Already.
very few understand how to apply it in a practical way to their business. So what platform are you using? How the heck are you using it? And what's it done for your business?
So I'm using ChatGPT. I have been using ChatGPT since our group introduced it, I think 2 or 3 years ago. Like we started using it before anybody even knew what it was. I remember telling my lender about it. And even now to this day, he's like, I didn't know anything about this. And it's because of you that it's changed my business. And I've gone through a lot of our training in the Social Agent Academy for it, and now it's like my little assistant. I give it instructions, I work projects through it. I have used it to I mostly use it for my social media
Mhm.
content because it helps me with scripts and what to talk about, and it keeps my information current and relevant rather than a repeat of 6 months ago. But it's also just helped me reorganize and re-strategize. It's really beneficial in my market because so I'm in Tucson, and a lot of the agents here are older. Like I'm 40 and I'm considered one of the younger agents. So they still, some of them, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of agents still can't wrap their head around AI. And it's really skyrocketed me in my market to where now I'm being noticed more because I'm able to consistently use those strategies that we're using within the Social Agent Academy. But it's helped me to reorganize, it's helped me to streamline, it's helped me to be consistent. I mean, even like market updates. I've done market updates since I got into the business, whether that was a printed packet 10 years ago or even just doing the social media market updates. But now I don't have to go and analyze all of that information. I can plug in. I don't even just rely on ChatGPT to pull the information from the internet. I pull it from my MLS. I put it into ChatGPT and I have it write me my points that I need to talk about. And it's so great because it is accurate um, and it sounds like me because I've been training my ChatGPT for the last 2 to 3 years. So it's
Yeah.
really, really been such a game changer for me and helped me to love my business again because there was a time when it was just a struggle and finding that connection to be able to have the information that you need. ChatGPT has just linked that. So I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I can echo that because there was also a time where I was like exhausted of creating content because it was this enormous initiative and amount of effort and stressful
Yeah.
every time you wanted to find new ideas, but you're looking and you're like, I've talked about everything. What the heck am I going to talk about now? And it led to burnout. And it did lead to me for a window of time losing my passion for content because it was such an overwhelming burden to come up with new ideas. And now you can get it at your fingertips and spend more time putting your own flavor and spin on it
Absolutely.
than just coming up with ideas. I would love for you to talk about the organizational side of it, because one of the concepts you said, which is really good, is training ChatGPT. The more you interact with it, the more it's going to sound like you. But most people open up a new chat for everything. They can't find anything. It's an absolute mess,
Mhm.
and it adds to the overwhelm. But you and I have a very similar structure in terms of how we're using it logistically. What does that look like to keep everything in sort of like a clean location?
So I was one of those people who had a chat open for everything, especially when you use it from your phone, because as soon as you open it, that's just kind of what it goes to. And I use ChatGPT now more than I use Google, because Google, you put in your keywords and then you have to pull the information that you're looking for, whereas ChatGPT will pull it for you. So I had a bunch of random chats, and once projects were introduced and I could start those files and those folders, that was seriously game changing. I love, like, organization is aesthetically pleasing to me. It just gives me my calm. But so even like, for example, my YouTube project. I have a YouTube project specifically for real estate. Now, I do two types of content on real estate. I do talking head videos that are informational, and I do home tours. So in that project, I have two separate chats for that, and they both have two separate set of instructions. And so every time I go into there to create my next bit of content, it is specific to those topics. Because with my home tours, I always give an intro and an outro, and so it'll pull the information about the house or the community that I'm speaking about. Then I have a short form project. And so that is specific to all of the short form content that I put out. And again, there's a chat for real estate education. Sometimes if I need some help making my personal post and I just want to put in the details of what the post is going to be about and it wants to give me, a nice description, I'll put it in there. But I try to keep everything very organized, because what I realized when those chats were just open is it was hard to access something that I may have done a while back that I needed to access again. And
Mhm.
chat does have a search option, but I still find it sometimes a little challenging to find what I need, especially if I need it quickly. And so the project section has been great. And I love that I can give each project its own set of instructions.
Yeah, I agree. I organize it in the same way, and it's life changing to be able to go straight to what you're looking for. Because most times, especially, and we'll get to your content routine, but oftentimes what I find is so many people are so unorganized that they've got things in Google Drive, they got things in Google Docs, they've got things over here, this chat, that chat, and
Yeah.
they spend so much time trying to find things and so little time executing. That's why they start getting frustrated with the process, because they're unorganized, and it leads to overwhelm. But let's talk about that content routine, because you've alluded to the fact that you've been consistent with almost a year now, which is, you know, massive in the landscape of real estate, since most people struggle with it. What does a weekly or monthly routine look like for you in order to stay consistent on both short and long form when it comes to, you know, the planning, the recording, the editing? Like, walk us through a journey of how you're staying consistent.
This is actually perfect timing because I just spent the last 2 days creating my entire content for the next month on 2 YouTube channels and all of my short form platforms. So, um, it starts out like I said, each project has its instructions. And so I go in and I tell it, "Okay, I'm ready to create X amount of videos, let's say 8 for the one channel for the next month." ChatGPT knows what because actually I do implement Manus, which we also have instructions for, and that's great for the research that I give to the projects. And so ChatGPT refers to those projects and it gives me the ideas for my content. Now, sometimes the 8 videos, if I don't want to do specific topics, I just tell it, okay, I like 1 through 3 and I like 5 through 7, but please change the other ones. And it'll do that. So first it gives me my topics. Then from there, I do a script because off camera or off script, I'm kind of all over the place. And so I need it to just kind of keep me reeled in. But it'll give me my whole script, a clean teleprompter script, bullet points, all of the information I need. And it sounds like me because I have trained the chat to sound like me. And then from there, I will actually do, I have a VA build out. So I did hire a virtual assistant to help me edit and post my content. And that's probably what's kept me most consistent. That's where I failed before was editing. I'm not an editor. It would take me forever to edit like a 30-second reel. So I did hire out for that, which has been also a huge game changer. We not to get off subject, but we do talk about how paying for your time back is you can't put a price on that, and I 100% agree with that. So I've implemented that. But so yeah, so it'll give me my VA build out. I do that in a PDF form. From there, I then tell it to export all. Well, I'm sorry, create an Excel file, CVS file, CSV file, and it'll do that, and then I take that file and I put it into my Trello board, and then it will automatically give me my entire list with cards and the content and the VA build out. And so that's how my VA and I stay organized and know what is to come. And we do this, like I said, for 2 YouTube channels and 4 social media platforms. And it's streamlined everything for the both of us. It's been a lot of training this year with him and I getting to know each other and how we both work and consistency. And so before learning how to use Trello and implement ChatGPT into Trello, everything was done on Google Drive, and it was a little complicated, especially looking at a table of 30 days worth of content and where we're going and what we're doing. So the organization side of ChatGPT, not just within the chat, but also being able to export those Excel files out and into a Trello board. That has been like, I preach about that, I think, more than anything these days, because that's been a huge game changer recently within my business.
Yeah, I think, I experience the same thing, which is how can we adjust the controllable to reduce as much stress and wasted time as humanly possible?
Absolutely.
And so many people are in this state of just go, go, go to the point where they don't take a step back, set a proper foundation so that they can spend like their active time doing the real work, not playing around trying to figure out where things are. But you said something that's so important. I don't find enough people talk about this, which is training your virtual assistant. As a real estate agent, one of the things that I find is people will bring on a virtual assistant, finally creating leverage, as you talked about, knowing that you shouldn't be doing $5, $10 an hour tasks if you want to make 50, 100, $200 an hour.
Right.
Um, and they're just expecting day one for this virtual assistant to be perfect, create incredible content, know exactly what you're looking for, no revisions. And if they don't do it that way, it's their fault. It's their problem. It's their skill set.
Yep.
But the training is so important. I'd love for you to talk about what that journey's been like.
So, I think I did have that expectation when I first partnered with him, and that's how I also view it as a partnership.
Mhm.
He's not my employee. He's not, we have talked extensively about growing as a partnership. Now, we are in 2 different countries. He's across the world, but he does amazing, and he's young and he's hungry, and we both have kind of the same mindset. Like, I interviewed several VAs, and he was just who I resonated with the most. I did have some help. I have a friend who knows how to hire VAs, so she gave me some pointers and told me how she did it. She had them take the DISC assessment
Mhm.
because it's important to know what kind of personality you might be getting involved with. So we did that, and him and I started with short form. I wasn't ready to dive back into YouTube. I had been on and off YouTube for years, again, because of editing. That was the only struggle that I had with it. And so once we kind of got a good rhythm with the short form, then we implemented one YouTube channel. And so now we've very much honed that in, and we have a good strategy for that. And then we've added a second channel. So just like we talk about on our calls is get good at one thing before
Mhm.
you move on to the next thing. Stop trying to do like be good at everything all at one time. That's pretty much how I've implemented the training with my VA. It's because I want him to get good at what we're doing first. I want to see results from short form first. And I just don't think it's beneficial to him or myself if he's being pulled in all kinds of different directions. And then I am too now. So if I would have started, I think, trying to do YouTube and short form at the same time, I probably would have quit because I think it would have been overwhelming for me too. Because not only am I trying to train somebody, but now I'm implementing another system into my business. And I have to make room for that. I have to restructure a schedule, a calendar, family, personal life. And so I wanted to do that in little bits so that we could be good at each one before we moved on to the next. And now like I said, we work really well together. We have our bumps in the road, but it's still not even a year in that we've been working together. And we have a very good line of communication. We meet once a week on camera. We're in consistent talk through chat. And then we've set up the systems. Like I said, Trello has been huge for us because the table on Google was a lot. It was very and there was no way to like notify each other when something was updated. And so that's been also like a big thing. I love that him and I work so well together. I've been very lucky in the fact that like I found one and it's working. So I would like to keep pouring into that versus hiring a new one. And but yeah, I mean, it has been a learning game, but it's more expensive if you let somebody go and then hire another one and then let somebody go and hire another one than it is to just really strategize with the person that you are with at the moment. I think it's important to figure that out at the beginning so that you're not wasting a ton of time if it's not a good relationship. But even his personal values align a lot with my own. So I think that was also a big reason why we were able to connect so well and do so well in this almost year now of working together.
Yeah, it's it's really looking at it as a journey. I've been working with my video editor for 4 years now, and
Mhm.
clear communication is everything. Like, I give him feedback on when I want something done differently, but he is a student of the platform, so he gives me feedback when he's like, "Hey, you could have done this way better. The intro could have been shorter," whatever the situation is. And it's that relationship. But you said something so important, and it really goes back to the concept of opportunity costs that I don't think many agents understand, which is first, they always look at money going out as an expense, not an investment. And, oftentimes, just like you said, you've been consistent for a year, like the amount of potential opportunity agents are missing because they're not willing to invest to stay consistent because they want to do it themselves because they don't want to see money going out is ridiculous. It's an not logical concept when it comes to business. But one of the things that you also said, um, is how expensive it actually is to continue to bring new people on because you're starting from square one, you're building the relationship, you're doing the training all again. Like, it's exhaustive and
Yeah.
it wastes so much of your time. And so that's why, just like you said, I pay my video editor very well,
Yeah.
like, very well.
Yeah.
And, because I don't wanna lose that. I wanna make sure that I keep that relationship and we enjoy working together. We have a really great dynamic, and it's something that I
Right.
appreciate. Um, and so I would rather not lose that and pay them healthy in order to continue to grow together, because my time to go find a replacement is not worth it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that's incredible. And maybe just touch on how you're using Trello. Like, maybe explain what Trello actually is, because some people might not know, and what that looks like. I think, I'm not even going to mention what platform I use because they all work. It's very similar to Trello. It's not Trello. So let's talk about Trello so people have one thing to think about.
So Trello is essentially a platform for the way that I view it, a checklist, like to keep things organized. I was recently introduced to Trello, and now I'm using it for everything. It wasn't even for content, it was for something else. And I use it for everything now. So you have a board, and inside this board, you have lists. And then in the list, you have cards. And you can use those cards as different tasks or due dates. Again, like I have a card that'll say like the name of the content. It'll have the whole script in there. And then I do have a PDF of basically like everything that's going to go with the posting, right? And the reason why I don't expect my VA to do that is because we're already doing it with what we learn in Social Agent Academy. So like it already comes with the content that I'm creating. So I just pass it to him because I also want to share what's working with him. But so that's what it is. And then so what he will do is he'll go in, he'll be able to see it. There is a link to the video, which is in Google Drive, and he can go straight to that, start editing. And then when it's done, he, pulls the card over to whether or not like he may need something from me. Hey, I need, it could be anything. I might need a clip from you or your buyer's guide or, whatever the case may be. But so I get a notification about it. So I know right away, I got to get this to him, especially if we're going to post on time. And then he has a list where it goes to like where if it's been approved, and then we move it to posted after it's been posted. And now I know that it's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then we just rinse and repeat. And so we do that basically for every single platform. I have two for YouTube. So I have one for my agent channel and one for my real estate channel. And then we have a board for all of the short form content. And it's great too, because as I'm planning my content for the next month, it's all streamlined in this one spot. So when I'm ready to pull my script to put it on my teleprompter, there it is. I don't have to go searching for it. I don't have to go find a downloaded file on my computer, which is saving space on my laptop. And what's nice too is even for our short form, because I record everything on my phone. So my short form, I can upload those short videos straight into Trello, and then we're downloading it less. And so the quality is better. And it's just amazing what you can do in these boards, and how much I didn't realize I needed a checklist like this, because like I said, I love systems. I love organization. It just like brings my whole system peace. But it's just really, and now it's all in one spot. Like I don't have a document checklist for this, a document checklist for that. I got to print something off. I got to do this. I got to do that. I actually have for my agents, I have few checklists that I share with them, and I have training videos in there for them, and communication templates, and they can literally just go into this board and access every single thing right there at their fingertips as they need it. And it's wonderful. I highly recommend.
Yeah, that's so cool. And again, finding what works for you is the most important thing, and making it a habit and a routine to actually use it. Because I've found whether it's a project management software tool like Trello, whether it's ChatGPT, there's always a learning curve, and people get overwhelmed in the beginning. And even in order to start to use artificial intelligence, like I'm the same as you. I use ChatGPT far more than I use Google now, but I had to force myself to do it by making it the default app on my phone, not Google Chrome.
Right.
And you start to get the repetitions, you start to get in the habit, and now it becomes second nature. But so many people quit because they get overwhelmed by not just embracing the learning curve and realizing that's going to happen with anything.
Mhm.
But I would like to talk about your equipment, because you said something that I think will connect with a lot of people. Um, you're closing deals from social media, you're being consistent with your phone.
With my
And so many people think that you need all this equipment, all of this, tech, and that just continues to become a barrier or an excuse as to why they can't execute. I don't have this. Once I get that, what are you using for a teleprompter? What's the whole setup look like for you to actually execute on this content?
It's literally all on my phone. Like, physical equipment, I bought a really cheap microphone on Amazon. I think I spent 30 bucks, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. I just kind of read through reviews, because I don't mind spending money on quality products, but if there is something out there that's going to save me a little bit of money, then I'm all for a good deal. So that I think the most expensive piece of equipment I've bought so far is I did buy like the gimbal selfie stick, um, which was $150. Like in the game of production, that's like nothing. So I bought that. Even I did happen to buy one of the little drones. I haven't even used it yet, but I bought it on sale. I would have never paid full price for it. I think I bought it for like $200. But ideally, everything is on my phone. So I do use a teleprompter on my phone. It's called Big View. I like it the best. I've tried a few other ones, but for me, this is what works best. There are
Mhm.
others out there that I know people love, but again, this is the one that I love. Big View is great because as you're reading, like if you mess up, you can stop it and you can start again. And then I will so I read everything from my phone. I have my microphone, even house tours. Like I'll put my little gimbal on a tripod and talk in my microphone and read off of my little teleprompter. And I do it with my front facing camera, which I know is like a huge thing right now. You're supposed to use your back facing, but it's just what works for me. And it's what, again, has helped me stay consistent because if it becomes a challenge or if it becomes too, I shouldn't say a challenge because I actually love a good challenge, but if it becomes complicated consistently, like I can't streamline it, then I'm not going to do it because I'm just too busy. I don't have the time to figure out a high tech camera. I've never been that person. I'm not a creative person. I'm more of a give me a contract and I'll help you go through it person. I just don't have that. I'm more data driven and analytics and those type of things. So when it comes to the creativity side of things, I mean, being where we are with social media and the Wolfpack and the Social Agent Academy and those trainings, that's what has helped me to implement content into my business. And I mean, it starts with your phone. I mean, I started with my hand and
Yeah.
no microphone and no teleprompter. And then I figured out there are these other systems that we can, or not even just systems, but products or tools, technology that we can implement to make it easier. That wasn't around 4 years ago. I mean, even when I got into real estate, like I remember posting on Facebook was like a thing. Like it was scary for people to post on Facebook, not work stuff, but like your personal stuff. And so even then, like it was harder for me then than it is now, just because all of these tools are available. There's literally like zero excuse anymore. And I can say that as somebody who was, I struggled for a long time. So but yeah, my phone has, and it's not even like the newest version. It's a couple years old, but it works, and that's all that matters to me is that it works.
Yeah, yeah, it works if you do the work at the end of the day, and so you kind of had a good segue there. I'd love to talk about why you decided to transition over to EXP, why specifically our group, and also what can people expect when partnering with you, which they can have a conversation if they click the link in the description.
Absolutely. So EXP is my fourth brokerage, and it's the one I've been at the longest. When I joined EXP, I was actually living up in Phoenix, and that was, COVID was happening. There was like this mass exodus coming from California, Oregon, Washington to Arizona. And I have a family member, my cousin, who was an agent in California. So we wanted to figure out how do we partner as a team without having to go through all the logistics of state by state teams, right? Because they're out there, but it's complicated. It's not
Mhm.
very easy. So that's kind of how we found our way to EXP. What led us to the Wolf Pack was you and Connor and Suman and all of the great trainings, the community. I mean, we did a lot of research before we just moved over because I told my cousin like I don't want to keep doing this. I've moved 3 times. I know what it's not easy to move a whole business over, but now that we are here and I'm here and I have dove into our trainings and our community, there's nothing like it. Up until recently, because I get a lot of, I talk to a lot of agents about our group, and I get a lot of like, well, there's no office. And as a people person, like I get that. I 100% get that. But I have felt more at home with our community in my home office than I ever felt at a brick and mortar. And I think it's because I can call somebody in another state or another country and say, "Hey, what's working for you?" And then I can implement that into my business here because everybody is willing to share and educate. And it's free. It is like 100% free. And to me, that's just huge. Like I am such a I'm I mimic energies. So like if somebody I have to be around people. That's what fills my battery. And I like I said, I've just like I get so just talking about it because I love what we do. I love what our community is about and I love how helpful everybody is. And in a place where innovation is frowned upon almost, implementing systems from other markets and other countries has just it's made me stand out so much. And I can't imagine where my business might not be if it wasn't for being here because I probably wouldn't be doing social media. I'd probably just be getting started with ChatGPT and only using it for emails. I would not have this great sense of learning and urge to continue to learn because here like one thing that I learned from I have another agent that I talked to. She's in EXP. She's here locally. She used to be a managing broker for a local brokerage. She came to EXP because she said there was no more learning for her. They had no more she was the one teaching all of these other agents and doing the meetings and keeping everybody up on liability and laws and all that, but there was nothing for her. So she came to EXP so she can consistently still learn. And that's exactly what it is. Like, I just love that we never stop and we're always growing in so many different ways.
Yeah, 100%. And the cool part is like when we do get together, everybody feels like they know everyone because we're constantly in touch with each other on these calls, pouring into each other, all these relationships that are built, and being able to share what's working, like you said, is incredible. And so, obviously with you and Suman and this incredible group, what can people expect when partnering with you?
So, partnering with me is you get first of all, support because I'm somebody who wants everybody to win, whether partnering with me or not. That's always been my thing. I'm huge on helping agents in general. I'm very big on systems, organization, and I do have a background in analytics, so I am able to help with the analytical side of the business. Um, Now that I can consider myself halfway decent about with social media and training and platforms and really understanding it, I do help. I'm able to help with that as well. My big thing is systems because I do think organization is key, especially when you're first getting started, or even to scale, because that was always my thing. I wasn't scaling because I just wasn't organized in the way that I should be. So I do think it's important to have a well-oiled system to keep your business going. So I help agents to get those kind of things in place, but I help them tailor it to what they want to do with their business. Not everybody wants to go on social media. Some people are very good with open houses and cold calling still, and that's fine. But I have a system to help them streamline that. So big on systems, big on ChatGPT, and then CRM side of things as well.
I love it. And those are all the things people struggle with. So,
Yeah.
it's such an exciting opportunity to be able to align with you, myself, Suman, and be able to really just go straight to the path to success and learn from my mistakes, your mistakes, and avoid years of that headache. And like you alluded to, it's entirely free. So,
Okay.
Meg, thanks again. Really appreciate you for sharing your entire blueprint, what's working, a perspective I think a lot of people needed to hear, and for just pouring into people as usual.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm so grateful for all that you have done for us as well, because I mean, it is really life changing what we're seeing in the wolf pack. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Well, guys, make sure you click those links in the description. Go check out Meg's content, book a conversation. The most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. Thanks so much again, Meg. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.